Hi, everybody. I'm going to just take a few minutes here and talk through the health promotion project. This is something that we haven't talked, we've talked a bit about in class, and you've been doing chunks of this project along the way as a team as part of your clinical assignment. And so now let's talk about what the final culmination of this all looks like. I just went through and finished grading your implementation plans in Canvas this morning. And so that really helped me kind of see where some of the discrepancies are with what your understanding is of the actual project. So to be clear, there are two main components. There is the poster, which is a scholarly poster. This is not something that you present in any way to your clinical site. This is for you to present in class next week. One PowerPoint slide that if you were going to a conference to present, you would have this slide blown up very large and printed professionally, and that becomes your poster. Um, so that's one aspect, and I'll go over the details of the rubric for the poster in a minute. But the poster is really outlining the entire project to me and to the class and pretty much describing an evidence-based practice project. It should be something that the steps are fairly familiar from nursing research, and now they're just applied to a public health situation and site. The product is the second piece of your project. And the product, it really will vary. For some of you, like there's some of you that are, one group is doing an STI presentation to the human sexuality class here at Point Loma. Your product is the actual PowerPoint presentation. You turn that in as your product. Some of you have created, like at the flu clinic at National City, you've created a variety of flyers and pamphlets to educate the community about flu and COVID. Turn those electronic documents in, that's your product. Others of you, it looks like, are working on developing presentations to different populations. So whatever that presentation is, whatever you utilize, that's your product that you turn into me. And hopefully for most of you, your product is something that you also give to your site because, as I've said before, in many cases, this product is your legacy, is our School of Nursing legacy, and gets used for years to come. Okay, there's a few examples here. I'll pull these up in a minute. The first two are examples from groups from last year who did a great job creating their posters. Keep in mind, they're not perfect, and you want to follow the rubric more than you want to follow these examples. These are just general examples. Please do not use these as your absolute templates. The final two examples here, one is my own from grad school, another is one of my grad students. So they're not at all following the rubric here, but they're just other ideas for how to set up a PowerPoint slide that looks like a scholarly poster. Okay, so this is 100 points here, and these are the different categories, and I would use these rubric categories to build out your categories on your PowerPoint slide. But you're going to first pretty much introduce your topic here. Talk about who you selected as your client group, why you selected the intervention that you, or the problem that you did, how was the agency, so the clinical site, how were they involved, what's your topic or your intervention, and then a PICO question that pretty much lays it all out. Keep in mind that this is a lot of information to fit on a poster, and so it needs to be bullet pointed. Does not have to be complete sentences. I actually discourage the use of complete sentences. Bullet points is great. And then you can talk about it in more detail when you present to the class. The second section is basically your community assessment. You're going to take, remember you did that way back when, your windshield survey at the beginning of the semester. You're going to take that information and pull out the data that you've collected that is associated with these 10 different categories. Bullet point those. Always remember to cite your sources. You need to have APA, 7th edition citations for every piece of data on your poster that you did not directly observe. And then you can have a separate slide or a separate Word document or PDF that has all your references fully listed out in APA format. But citations do need to be on the slide. You can make them super tiny so they don't take up space, but they do need to be there. Okay. Then you're going to do your lit review here. Remember, you've already collected the articles, so you just need to kind of have little blurbs about them. There need to be 5 sources, and you need to have local, state, and national data supporting either your problem or your intervention. Okay, and hopefully your sources have assisted in that, but you may need some additional sources as well. So local, state, national data that's supporting either the problem or what you're planning to do about it. 5 sources total. Again, students often miss identifying the public health essential services that are a part of your project, and this time you need to choose 2. Your paper, you did 1, here you need to choose 2. This next section of the rubric is talking about your actual intervention. So what are you doing? So a clear description of what you're doing, making sure it connects to your lit review above, that the literature review has informed what you're doing. Make sure there's also connections to the community assessment, that it's clear that you saw a problem in your community, you got some literature to help you develop an intervention, and that's played out here. You do need to have at least one measurable outcome to assess your intervention. You are not actually going to measure any outcomes, but I need you to tell me how you would measure it, right? So you all had to write out an objective in your implementation plan, whether it's an increase in knowledge, whether it's a change in behavior, a change in attitude. So tell me what that specific outcome is that you're looking to change, and how would you measure that if you were going to do so? Data collection method is again saying how you would measure that. What's the outcome? And would you use a survey? Would you do interviews? How would you collect information to know that your intervention has been successful? Remember, hypothetical. Finally, the last piece of the rubric for the poster here is making sure that there's no grammar errors, spelling errors, that it's visually appealing, that it's not just huge paragraphs everywhere, but that you've made it formatted in a way that it's easy to read, it's not overwhelming with text. Include graphics, be creative. Keep citations on the slide itself, and then a reference section separately. Again, you're going to present your topic in a professional manner. I expect that all of you will be ready to present with appropriate attire up top, since it's on Zoom, and that you'll every team member would be a part of the oral presentation. That is the only way to earn points for this entire project, is if you are present and presenting, and that it is 10 minutes or less. It goes quick, so you got to make sure you got that part down. Now, the last piece of this rubric is talking about the actual product. So this is separate. This is what is actually being used at your community site. And whatever it is, it needs to be creative, and it needs to be clearly meeting the need that you've identified. And again, no grammar errors, spelling errors, all of that. Okay. So as for some examples, here's a few here. This is from a team last year who was at National City Fire Department. And so you can see how they built out their PICO, their population, intervention, the partnership, etc. Remember, it's not perfect. None of these are perfect scores, so keep that in mind. And they actually did do some measuring. They didn't have to, but they did, and they have some graphs here to show you that. Then this is their actual flyer in both Spanish and English. That was a part of their product, and then their references. Okay, the other example here is a team that was actually at Garfield High School. I know you guys are now there for mental health. It used to be one of my sites in public health. And they did a stress management lecture to a class at Garfield High School. And so this was their poster. Didn't use any graphics. That would have been nice, but at least it's mostly bullet pointed. And there's their references. Okay. So please let me know if you have any questions. That is what I'm here for. If you are planning to do a presentation at your site and your clinical instructor doesn't know about that, please let myself or Dr. King know, because we try to be present for that, or at least be a really helpful guide to make sure that that goes smoothly. And if you need clinical hours, actually going to your site and presenting counts for clinical hours. All right, reach out if you have any more questions. Best of luck to you.